Hello, folks. Welcome to what are we at? Monday, September 22nd, Techthusiasm Live podcast. Good evening, good afternoon, and all of that. I hope everybody had a great week, a great weekend. Fall setting in. All the kids are back to school now for a few weeks. A lot of all the fall changes settling in. It's been a good week here. Had a good weekend. Back to fall soccer. My daughter's back to playing soccer games, so able to watch some of those on the weekends. Spent some time with family and friends. Fall festival, Victorian festival in town here. Strolled through that a little bit Saturday night. So yeah, good times. Good times. Drop some comments. Let me know who's out there. A couple of folks already. Julia, Steven, hello. Presume all the regular friends will pop up. Hopefully some new names and such as well. The main topic I was envisioning for today was to basically go through some more of the coming system changes and plans, and specifically with a focus on the rack plans. I actually ordered more gear than I thought I was going to order to kind of facilitate the changes and stuff that are coming. So I need to be all ready to go. So as soon as we pick the date for the contractor to get started, I have everything that I need. I don't want to be stuck waiting for anything, especially in the in between of having basically one whole wall of our living room open and exposed to the interiors and whatnot. So yeah, we'll talk about that. I have like an approach basically to kind of figuring out kind of the rack layout and stuff, basically using Excel. Figured I'd share that, walk through some of it, talk about some of the equipment. Some of it actually already got delivered today as well. And yeah, have some fun. If folks have questions and other topics, feel free to bring them up. And yeah, we'll make it kind of a usual Techthusiasm podcast here, kind of hang out and have some fun, talk some tech and home theater. I presume by now everybody has updated their Apple devices to the 26 OSs. I did put out the video about my take on the tvOS 26, and I think it's fine. Ultimate gist of it is it's really more cosmetic. There's not really a whole lot of functional stuff in there, but anyway, I put the long form video out, the edited video, showing off firsthand a bunch of the features and some of the things that I would recommend that people do once you get the update. Basically hide a couple of the app icons that you're maybe not likely to be using or need anymore, like the iTunes movies and TV show. You can hide the Sing app icon as well, which I'm not going to be using that. And it's kind of redundant to me anyway that they took something that's one section of the music app and just made a separate app launcher to launch that. So that's pretty much the main stuff. Liquid glass, yeah, it looks nice, sure. I think the interface looks nicer now than it did before. Great. And then the movie poster navigation, of course, in the Apple TV app. That's really the main stuff. Maybe if you FaceTime a lot, we'll see what happens. There's no pass-through. We know that. So again, I think my take on the pass-through thing is that we really have had a largely unsubstantiated rumor about what Apple TV pass-through may or may not be. I've spoken my piece on it now in a couple of different videos. It may be awesome. It may be the forebearer, the first hint that we may actually see true lossless audio quality coming to streaming, perhaps from iTunes movie purchases and Apple TV Plus or whatnot, or maybe open up the box. We still have room for new hardware to come. I would think most likely if we're going to get it, it's going to be October, or we could get nothing on the other end of the spectrum. So again, the whole pass-through thing, it cracks me up reading a lot, and there's still a lot of, I think, misunderstanding and communication about about this topic out there, because on Facebook groups and other places, I continue to see people posting like, where's the pass-through? Because where's the pass-through? Well, because you got a bunch of people talking about it like it was a guaranteed thing, and it wasn't. It was a data mined piece of an API that there was some loose substantiation about between the media and Apple. You got a lot of media outlets that are not home theater outlets that don't really understand the ramifications of what that feature may or may not need, writing articles on it. So a lot of confusion. I think the whole spectrum of what it may be, again, can cover from perhaps something really groundbreaking to nothing at all, or maybe somewhere in between where we get bitstream, we get pass through for the same lossy codecs that the box already supports, and maybe that's it. So all we can do is wait and see. Maybe something's tied to that new hardware, maybe not. But one of the main lessons I think all of us probably have learned in tech, if we've been in it for a while, is you never you never buy something, or you never base major decisions on what something may or may not do in the future, even if potentially that thing is rumored or whatnot. So that's always a recipe for disaster in technology, and disappointment. If you align your system, you make decisions, you spend legit money on the promise of something that's coming, um, until it's available, right? Lock it in once it's available, um, or at least very strongly confirmed. So we'll see what happens there. Um, but anyway, the OS 26s are out. I'm all updated. They look good. I think I have one more update actually to apply to my Mac. And then we'll see what comes kind of in the point releases. We'll see what happens with the Apple event in October. Yeah, and we'll go from there. Just hit a couple comments as we go here. Michael Ellis, are you an NV dealer or ManVR? So I'm not a dealer directly per se. I am a certified product specialist with them. I've taken the classes and I passed the exam. I'm able to support it. If anybody is shopping for this, though, I still would say go ahead and get in touch with me. Um, and there are I have partners and other folks that I can work with to help fulfill needs and whatnot. So yeah, if somebody's shopping envy, definitely get in touch with me. Bruno Machado, welcome. Hello, hello. Welcome, Joe. Hey, I knew Ubiquity year. No, I was, as I was contemplating some of the choices in the rack setup, though, I was contemplating my choices for NAS. And actually, Michael, we were talking about this offline. One of the things with the Ubiquity NAS, I really like to have a feature where my NAS can cloud sync my OneDrive locally, bring the whole OneDrive down to the NAS, and then if I make changes to those files, keep it in sync with what's in the cloud. And Synology can do that with their Cloud Station app. It's unclear based on some of the features that were in the Unify NAS software releases, that whether it could actually do that as well or not. And I did confirm with Ubiquity that it cannot. They are not with parity of that feature. So I've made my request in anyway. That's what I would like to see. That's what I would like to see supported. Um, but I don't think, yeah, I don't think I will make a changeover of any NAS types until or unless that, excuse me, that feature comes. Otherwise, I'd have to like interact with my OneDrives via just the web browser or something, and I think it's nicer to have them local. Julius, did you finish installing all your security cameras? Yeah, I was actually debating that. I did. So there's 5 cameras now set up, 4 outside, porch, driveway, back of the house. That's kind of looking down, kind of like where our generator is, and then one in the backyard. I had set up for a camera in the basement here, but I decided not to do that. I pushed the line back into the wall and just mudded it up. Um, there's still a spot in our upstairs hallway to drop a camera, and I do have the devices, so I probably will go ahead and just install that one. And then there's one more spot outside, and I did do the doorbell. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. So we have the doorbell set up. It has the doorbell cam both facing out and the package cam facing down. So they're working great. I love them. I love being able to pull it up. It's fantastic as well, having my phone wherever I'm at, and then somebody rings the doorbell and I get the notification with a special tone, that like your doorbell is ringing, and then if I want to, I can connect right there on the fly and dialogue with the person that's standing there. I think it's pretty sweet. So I do have actually a couple of other cameras that I need to get rid of. I'll probably part and parcel. Actually, I'm planning to do this coming up. Part and parcel with the rack rebuild is I'm gonna finally spend the time and I'm gonna sweep through everything that I have in my storage room related to Techthusiasm and AV gear and home theater gear and gaming gear and all that stuff. And I'm gonna like purge. I'm gonna purge so much. To just get down to the core of everything that I need, because I've definitely like accumulated stuff, and things change and some things come and some things go. And I've actually been kind of lackadaisical, even like selling things that I don't need anymore. I think it's almost probably been a year since I swapped my wife's Intel NUC out for the Copilot laptop that she has right now. That NUC's like sitting in my desk. So my fall cleanup task for myself is to get everything cleaned up, cleaned out, and reduce the number of things and boxes and extra stuff that we're not using and all that. So I will have a couple of extra cameras that I bought that I won't end up using. Mitchell 245, welcome. Yeah, cosmetic increments. Cosmetic increments is Apple's MO lately. Yeah, stock price doesn't reflect that. But yeah, feature wise, Mac Rumors reports new Apple TV by year end. Yeah, Wi-Fi 7, A17 Pro. Yep. Yeah, we'll see what comes. Basically in October. I did consider as well in this last week. I really was considering upgrading my iPhone. After all, I have an iPhone. It's 2 years. We have 15s. Yeah, because my daughter has a 16e. My parents have the 16s. So I have a 15 Pro Max. My wife has a 15 Pro. She doesn't need an upgrade necessarily, but I think that my thought was that I need to get into making more content. Like if I look at the stuff that people are really interested to watch on the channel, any of the home theater stuff, of course, that's why I really focused on this niche from kind of the general Techthusiasm thing. It's interesting what really gets people's interest though, and like what people come to the channel for. The living room, the gaming PC in the living room stuff is very popular. Some of the Zone 2 stuff, of course, the core home theater stuff is very popular. But Apple TV and like Apple videos go really big. So if I want to try to attract more eyes to all of the type of content that I make, I think I need to make I think I need to keep focusing on making sure to cover all of the Apple stuff as it's happening. So I was thinking, well, maybe I should just go ahead and get one of the new phones, and I could make a couple videos on it. I could talk about it, whatever. But I'm locked into a 3-year contract, and so I talked to AT&T. I'm like, what would it take to get over into like the AT&T Next Up plan? And basically, it would require spending $400 out of pocket to pay off the third year of my phone. I would lose the last year of credits from the prior trade-in, which basically makes the phone cost like $2 a month. And then I could trade it in for an $1,100 credit and basically get 17 Pro Max for free, or effectively free, right, with another contract. And then I would be able to add AT&T Next Up for $10 a month at that time. And it just seems silly to me to waste like $400 plus. So it was like $425 almost, I think, versus maybe just waiting a year and then I'll do this next year. So if I just wait until next September, I'll pay $24 out of pocket to finish owning. I don't have it here, to finish owning my 16 Pro Max or 15 Pro Max, sorry. And then it'll be paid in full. I will own it after the credits finish. I'll trade it in for an $1,100 credit on an 18 Pro Max, and then I'll add the $10 a month. I'll add the $10 a month AT&T like Next Up Plus program, whatever they call it. And so for the cost of $120 a year and peace of mind and no effort, and basically free-ish, no monthly cost phones, because with Next Up you can trade in like you own it and get the next promo, which is going to be $1,000, $1,100, whatever, off the next phone. I'll do that, and then I might start making a little bit more content in September-ish time around the iPhone announcements and whatever. And if we get the new iPads and stuff, I think I'm just going to end up buying all these things as they come out. The new models, I use them every day, all the time. So it's not just wasted money, like buying stuff just for the sake of content or the channel. It's cool having the latest, greatest devices. I don't really need it, but when I can layer on some extra value and have the most relevant stuff to talk about and make some content about it, it kind of makes sense to spend a little bit, minimal amount of money to do that. There was a question. I just see it popped up about HBO Max as well. I want to talk about that because I was changing some streaming services actually a little bit as well. So we'll get through these quick, and we'll talk about racking stuff, and my plans for some gear coming up. Stephen McCauley, pass-through, yeah, so pass-through is an API available to developers. So until correct, this is correct. Well, so there's still some thought. So we don't know actually. I'll tether this comment a little bit that we don't fully know. Yeah, I feel like too many YouTubers have been throwing this pass-through term around like it's a feature we get with the OS. That's not true. Yeah, it's part of the API. Conceivably, it shouldn't require new hardware, but you never quite know what the box has been encoded for. What type of features are necessary, perhaps like in the HDMI chips or even in like the Apple Silicon itself. I do agree with your sentiment. Like technically speaking, this was data mined like out of the API, so it's a software API. but I disagree with the sentiment here, and this is kind of like splitting hairs, but I want to focus on this. So you comment, so until Plex or other apps update their apps to take advantage of it, we don't know that. So we don't know what that API is, and I think a lot of people are just assuming that like the keys to everything were in this API. And at least from any information that been able to find, or like I've never seen like a technical API description, like a documentation set or a list of features about it. We don't know that this API is a slam dunk to fully unlock pass through for any apps that want to do it, for any codec. Like there's too many assumptions still in this statement for me that I'm still a little bit leery. To me, I think like that this pass-through feature might literally involve just like the same lossy codecs that the box already supports. It may not be the lossless codecs. And then, because the one thing that makes me question this a little bit is if Apple's not going to support like Dolby Atmos, DTS:X, True HD, DTS Master Audio, lossless codecs themselves, why do they care about why do they care about Plex and Infuse? Like the market of people that are using Apple TV boxes and even that rip their discs and want to play their content and stuff like that. It's just like the market that they have really no care. It's so small and irrelevant to the size of the larger customer base that they serve with these boxes. So I'm still trepidatious. Like I think a lot of people can still be disappointed by what ends up coming from it. But all we can do is wait and see. It'll be something perhaps, including nothing, or including like the whole big gamut that lossless audio is coming to streaming and stuff like that. But again, the other part to me says I don't think they do that without like a stage show. That's like a WWDC. That's like a stage show cornerstone announcement feature. It's not just like tvOS 26.1 brings this forward. So all right. Do these last couple comments, and then we'll start sharing some stuff, talking about the living room project. Something cool for the living room setup. You mentioned building the wall out to remove the slant. Yeah, maybe a Murphy style door. We did talk about this actually. We did talk about this, my wife and I. It's like, well, just at least to have a devil's advocate conversation. Do we want to do any kind of like hiding of the television? Do we want to like do something to integrate things a little bit more? We've decided not to, mostly just because of like the cost and complexity of it. And also too, I like the simple wall with, yeah, I can see the speakers, we can see the TV screen and whatever, but it doesn't have a big footprint out into the room, and it's just kind of clean and simple. But yeah, we did consider some options like that. If you test HBO Max since upgrading, I think HBO Max is working fine. I've been watching Peacemaker season 2, but I'm an episode behind. I don't remember actually if I watched last Thursday's episode, the one that came out this past Thursday, or if that was a week ago. I actually don't remember. I'll have to double check and see if there's an episode waiting to watch. But I have been messing around with my streaming services because of the WWE change just hit. So this past weekend they had WrestlePalooza. It was the first of the premium live events for WWE that is on the ESPN platform. I should make a video about this actually. So I was looking a little bit. It's like, do I want to subscribe to this? Like I already subscribed to all this stuff, and WWE in the US streaming is like so freaking disjointed now. It's really frustrating. Like Raw is on Netflix. Peacock is going to have Saturday night's main event. Now the premium live events are on ESPN. I think the catalog is still on Peacock, whatever, but I canceled Peacock. Now I can watch Saturday night main event by DVRing it on YouTube TV. And so I don't feel the need to pay the $16.99 for Peacock. And I was trying to look and see if I want to add this ESPN service to my streaming catalog. It's $30 a month. And it doesn't seem like it doesn't get any cheaper to combo it up with like Disney Plus and Hulu either. And then now there's like ads and no ads, and you get 4K or not 4K. Like it's ridiculous when you log into Disney now, between Disney, Hulu, Disney Plus, and then Hulu Live TV. When you look at the available plans and options, there's like 25 of them. It's nuts. Though I haven't subscribed yet. I have to decide whether WWE premium live events are worth $30 a month to me. Probably they will be, but yeah, but I need to decide. I'm sure my kids will want to see them, but I don't know if we'll end up watching every single one and so on. But yeah, HBO Max is working fine. All right, let me see here. Can we share this? Yeah, okay, this is shareable. All right, so let me share this. Actually, I need to stop sharing the other one that I was going to share. And instead, let's start with this. Okay, let me zoom it in a little bit so you can actually read it. Actually, we can go this view, and we'll move. Yeah, sorry, getting this set up here. I will just go with this one, and I'll zoom it in a little bit more. Go 200%. Okay, so here's the conclusion that I've come to. I've concluded that I do not want to put a rack in the living room. And not even necessarily because my wife didn't want one in there or something like that. She was actually pretty amenable to the idea when we were talking about it, to be like, oh, do you want to build out the wall a little bit more and like put the gear, we can have like custom shelves made. And like, well, if we do that, then like there's no ventilation out the back of the shelves. Now without, like, it just, everything adds more complexity. Then the footprint of the bump out's going to come out real far, or we could just have the bottom come out really far. But then like the cats are going to jump up there and they're going to be more inclined to like get behind the TV, between the TV and the wall. And do we bring the whole thing out, and then this whole big thing is going to be like looming over the room, and like it'll impede the corner where we put our Christmas tree, and we're probably will end up wanting to put another chair. So I went through a lot of the pros and cons and the trade-offs of equipment upstairs versus equipment downstairs, and I've decided to go basically equipment downstairs pretty much everywhere and as much as possible. And this is going to work out real cool. So what I did is I made this little Excel sheet, and I don't want to take a phone call right now. I made this little spreadsheet, and so what I did was laid out essentially what the current left and right sections of the rack look like, and then I relayed them out basically with some of the changes and some of the new things that I would plan to put in there in order to do this. And then I've actually bought a variety of these things already over the weekend. So if we look at this a little bit, you can't take a call right now. I gotta go. Where's my control center? Do not disturb. Boom. Okay, sorry about that. All right. So if we look here on the left right now, the way I've got the rack laid out, the Synology NAS is up at the top, and then I've got the living room system. So the Anthem STR backed up underneath it by the current single M23, and then a couple of the rack amps for the subwoofers, this Control 4 controller, the Anthem MDX room whole house distribution amp, just a shelf that it holds our UMA. We still subscribe to UMA for a kind of a landline digital phone. And then the drawers down there, and underneath the drawer is the UPS. And then behind the UPS is the like square watt box 820 that's kind of in the back of the rack. And then if we look at the other side, going from top to bottom, the top right is the network section, the Ubiquity section. So the brush and patch panels, the switch, the Dream Machine, the modem. Then underneath that is a shelf where my Apple TV for the theater is sitting, just this big old 2U shelf just for a little Apple TV. Kind of silly. Underneath that is the Kaleidoscape stuff, where my Strato and the Terra server are side by side in a 1U. Then I actually already did buy the Strato E for the living room, and I did hook it up. So I am Kaleidoscape enabled in both rooms now. And I just tossed that for now on the shelf next to the Apple TV. Then the rest of the main theater stack. So the Envy, the AVM90, and then the couple of NAD M28s, and then it's empty down on the bottom. So what I decided to do here is the right side will stay kind of mostly as it is. For the most part. So I'm going to leave the upper right hand section as the network section. I really was trying to look at the rack, and I'm trying to make different sections. So there's like a network section, there's a theater core equipment section, there's a living room core equipment section, there's a source section now that'll be part of the new change. Power management all goes together, and then kind of miscellaneous, a little bit of a miscellaneous, and then and I still want to keep the drawer in there because I keep a lot of handy stuff available in that drawer. And then I'm actually going to use the top of the rack as well. So if we look at this, the upper right hand section is going to stay the network section. All that stuff is already in there. It's working great. There's a lot of wires involved, and I think that's a good spot for it. So I'm going to keep that up there. But in the rebuild, I am going to have a 2U spot to be able to expand the networking gear if and when I want to. And so that 2U spot will hold a rackable NAS uh, if and when I'm ready to commit to a rackable NAS. For now, the Synology, I'm going to take the Synology off of a shelf and I'm going to put it up on top of the racks over on the right. So it'll still go in that network section. It'll be just on top of the rack above this equipment. And so again, and I'll leave myself that 2U space. I'll just put a little solid blank in there. And whether it's a future possibly rack Synology NAS or a rack-based Unify NAS, that'll fit perfect right there. And then the venting, I was also making a bit more of a commitment to using more vented blanks above equipment that could potentially run a little hotter. Try to get just a little more airflow kind of through the rack. I don't have doors, so my rack is open in the front, so the air can kind of come through. The rack is also open in the back, and I'm on a set, foot or so off the wall, so that heat can kind of flow through there, convect in and convect out. So I already have a bunch of venting panels on the right side right now by the theater gear, so I'm going to keep that over there and expand it a little bit on the left side also. Um, so, so the blank for that NAS, couple U's worth of vents, and then the MAD VR. So if we look really, the MAD VR, it's moving up 3 units. So it used to be on unit 15. Now it'll start on unit 12. So we're moving it up 3. That's a 4U, and then another 2U vent, which is what we had before. 4U for the AVM90, another 2U vent, and then 4U for the M28, number 1, 2U vent, 4U for the M28. So all of the home theater gear is shifted up by 3U, and I think I shouldn't have a problem with that. I think and I hope that I pulled enough slack for all of the subwoofer cables and the speaker wires and stuff to be able to be raised up, no problem. And then I'm going to move the drawer. I'm going to move the drawer from the left to the right. Um, it'll get it out of the way. It'll let me use the left side a little bit more effectively. The drawer itself, it's big and it's cumbersome. It sticks pretty far into the back of the rack. So having anything under the drawer and working behind it is a pain. I think it makes sense to have the drawer be the lowest thing. Right now, the drawer is above the UPS. It's like above the power management stuff. Now over on the right hand side, the drawer will be the lowest thing, and there'll be there's still space. The drawer doesn't go the whole depth of the rack. It's pretty deep, but it's not the whole depth of the rack. So there'll be a nice little block of space there to like arrange and route and tie up all the speaker wire lines and XLR cables and like kind of all the stuff that'll be behind and down in the cabinet on that side. So that right side, it stays network focused and it stays home theater focused. But notice the sources aren't here anymore. So that's really what made the space in the right hand side to be able to shift some stuff up, make room for the NAS, and fit the drawer. Is the 2U shelf will no longer be there. The Kaleidoscape one and the Kaleidoscape 1U and the blanks and stuff in between them will no longer be there. So really effectively, I have a little extra blank space on the bottom that I'm putting to use. And then these 4 U's that are coming out is what allows for the drawer to fit on that right side. And then again, the NAS on the top, unless or until I upgrade it. So I want to make sure, except I'm not seeing comments while I'm talking about this because I'm looking at the Excel sheet. So I'm going to just jump back and forth a little bit and make sure that I don't miss anything. And then we'll go back through and catch up on comments. Okay, so let's talk about the left side then. So again, so the left side was a bit of a mishmash. It was the living room piece. It was the NAS, which is kind of a network piece. It's the power management piece, which had stuff accessible in the front and the back of the rack. And then the other just miscellaneous stuff again, like the control 4 and whatnot. So what I'm going to do then on the top over here is the top left will now be the source section, essentially. So what I bought was, and we'll go over to some web pages, and I'll show the specific items and stuff in a minute. But I went ahead and I ordered a metal 1U dual Apple TV shelf. So it's basically like it has a blank with cutouts. So you have you'll be able to put two Apple TV units side by side. It has a bar across the top that kind of locks them down. I did order this already. It was like $150. It actually came from a place in the UK. It was the nicest one that I could find. So it may take a little bit, hopefully not too long to get it here, because I'll be wanting it pretty soon. But I looked at a bunch of options for this, and I didn't want to be too premature buying this because, of course, we're expecting a new Apple TV. Does anybody really think the Apple TV form factor is going to change? I don't think so. Whatever this new Apple TV is, I bet it's in a black box of exactly the same dimensions, or if not exactly the same dimensions, probably pretty close. I'm not buying the rumors about like it's going to have an integrated camera and like all this other stuff. I think it's going to be the same kind of form factor. But in any case, even if they change the dimensions a little bit, if they make it a little wider, they make it a little shallower or a little deeper or something like that, it'll still work on this shelf. So I kind of hedged my bets. It'll really be terrible if they completely change well, not terrible, but it'll be a bummer if they do significantly change the form factor of the Apple TV. And the shelf that I just bought from the UK, and I'm probably not sending back for any kind of a refund or return, and I'm just stuck with this shelf that but anyway, I rolled the dice because I want to get the project done. I want to have everything kind of put in there together, and I went ahead and ordered it. And I'm banking on the fact that I don't think it'll be that different. So on this shelf, again, one unit, two Apple TVs side by side. I could have bought some cheaper options. Like there's a ton of them on Etsy and other places where people were like 3D printing like plastic shelves, plastic 1U shelves. But a lot of those were very specific to the actual puck size that the Apple TV is right now. Whereas the one I ordered, and I'll show it in a minute again, but it's actually like it's a shelf. So the Apple TV sits on the shelf. It's not like keyed in or locked into the specific dimensions of the current Apple TV unit. It does have a bar that goes over the top, but that's adjustable as well to tension it. So if the new Apple TV is shallower or taller, it'll still end up working out okay. But notice I said two Apple TVs. So I'm going to be moving. I'm planning to move sources back out of the living room and unify everything here back down in the rack downstairs. So Apple TV shelf, a blank, and then Kaleidoscape Strato shelf. And I've already actually pulled the trigger on this as well. Pulled the trigger. I don't like saying that anymore. I've already taken action on this as well, and I've confirmed. I've accepted payment actually already and confirmed a sale to let my current Strato V go, and I'm going to standardize my Kaleidoscape setup on a pair of Strato E's. So I already knew I wanted to have a player. I'm going to stay with the server, of course. I'm going to maintain a Terra server, and I wanted to have a discrete player for the living room and a discrete player for the theater, particularly because I want to be able to use the zones independently, and the audio video settings of those two devices are different. And so I don't want to do any kind of zone 2 distribution, splitting, sharing, or anything like that, because the Strato that goes to the living room needs to do internal decoding of lossless codecs to 2-channel PCM, and the V and the E are able to do that. Of course, in the theater, I want it bit streaming lossless codecs to the multi-channel theater space, and then Dolby Vision differences and other stuff like that. The one that's in the theater, I may continue to run the UI at 24 hertz and use Motion AI to limit black screen HDMI sync times. The one upstairs, it doesn't matter. It's going to run 60 hertz UI. So there's some very definitive audio video setting differences, and I wanted them to be able to operate discreetly. Now, in Kaleidoscape, the Strato V and the Strato E have very distinct dimensions. the V is a bigger unit. It's wider, it's deeper. It follows the face print footprint, but the face print on a rack or on a shelf of the Strato C and the Compact Terra servers and stuff like that. The E is very different. It's a small square box. It's more rectangular. Its face is not as wide. It's not as tall, etc. And so it has the E has its own rack kit. And so you can't rack a Compact Terra server or a C or a V on the same rack kit as an E. And so having two players with two different form factors didn't conform to what I was trying to accomplish in the system. So I actually, again, it's already gone. So if you're interested, it's too late. It went like pretty much immediately. Um, I'm gonna, and I already placed my order for. It's coming in already. Shipped. I can actually ship today. So my second Strato E is coming. So now I'll have two Strato E's. I have the Strato E 1U shelf coming with the player, and I'll rack both of the players side by side on the same shelf, and they'll fit. Everything will be great. Two players side by side. It'll look great, present great, and it'll optimize the space on the rack. And I'll have consistency between. It doesn't really matter from a operational perspective, but consistency within the system between the rooms. So I think this will look pretty cool. Dual Apple TVs, dual Strato E's right above and below each other. One pair serving the living room, one pair serving the theater. And then a blank in between those, which actually this is actually cool. I'm already doing this already, but keep in mind the Stratos, all the Kaleidoscape equipment, I think except the big Terra servers, they have external power bricks, so you have to account for that. So the little Strato E box is nice and small and svelte, but it has a power brick that also needs to go somewhere. So I'd already bought this before, and I have a shelf with a blanked face. So from the front of the rack, it just looks like a blank. Behind the rack, it's a shelf. And so right underneath the rack mount for the Strato players, I'll put that shelf, and then their power bricks can just rest on that shelf right underneath them. It works really, really well. Highly recommend that kind of a setup if you're racking stuff up like that. Underneath that, I'll have the current Kaleidoscape rack that I have right now. I'm not changing this right now, so I'll continue to use my 24 terabyte Compact Terra server. I'll change the faceplate. So right now I have the V and the Terra side by side. The V is gone. The E will come and go on the shelf above, and I'll move the Terra server to the middle. The this style, or all of the Kaleidoscape actually 1U rack kits, they come with two faces. So there's one face for one unit in the middle, and there's a second face for two units side by side. So I'll move the Terra to the middle so it's balanced and it looks like it's supposed to. Use the shelf that I already have, and the 24 will continue to go there. And then I'm going to leave a blank. So line 7 or U7 here, I'm going to actually double blank under the Terra. And then now I'm ready to go if and when I decide to go ahead with a 48 or larger potentially Terra server. I think the 48 is probably my sweet spot, and that's an upgrade that I probably may like to consider doing maybe in 2026, maybe early 2026 or something. So I'm going to leave a blank underneath here, and I'll be all set to swap out the 24 for the full size Terra server of a larger size without having to move everything else around it. Okay, so then underneath that will be a spacing blank, again, to spread this out. So we have that sources section up there. Now I'm going to go to vents again. So I'll have a 2U vent. I'll have 2Us for the shelf that the STR will be on. I'll have a 2U vent again. So the left to right will look really balanced with each other, because all of the home theater equipment right now has these 2U vents in between it, and the living room audio processing and amplifier equipment will be the same. So 2U vent, STR, 2U vent, one of the NADM 23s. These only need 3Us. They're not as tall as the 28s. I think they set the amp modules flat rather than on end in the 23 versus the 28. Another 2U vent, and then another M23, and I'll talk about this audio configuration in a minute here. Okay, then a blank, so making space. So we had the sources section, we had the living room audio processing section. Now we have that kind of miscellaneous section. So the Control 4 controller, the Core 5 is a 1U, a blank. We'll leave the MDX right underneath it. This is how I have it right now. A blank, we'll leave that shelf in there where the UMA is sitting, and I've got a little bit of extra space then if something else comes along that just needs to be set somewhere. And then I'm going to go over, then I'm going to go to vents. So it'll be kind of like a block of stuff, and in different sections will have vents. Some will, some won't. I think it'll look pretty cool. And then from everything down the rest of that section then is the power management section. And I already ordered these as well. So I'm changing the watt box. I'm not leaving watt box to go to something else, but I'm changing the form factor of the watt boxes that I'm using. So the UPS is staying. The UPS is awesome. The one I have in there, the 2000 VA 20 amp online, whatever, pure sine wave regeneration UPS will stay. That'll be on the bottom because that thing's big. It's honking. It's heavy. It's deep. You want that at the very bottom of the rack. But right now in the setup, I have a Wattbox 820 in the rectangular form, and I'm going to take that out. That will be available for sale if somebody's looking for that as well. Cut a great deal on it. And I ordered 2 of the rackable Wattbox 820 20 amp units. And so actually I had bought a couple of those 2 outlet 20 amp Wattbox 800s as well, because I had the wide 820 going into the UPS, and then I was going to have right now I have 2 of the M28s plugged into the 2 outlet, which plugs into the wall, and then I had another one for the 2 M23s. Never even opened it up, still in the box, sealed. So I will have those two outlet Wattbox 800 20 amp modules available if anybody's looking to protect their amps as well. And I just went with the rack version of the 820. So there'll be 2 of these on one above the other, identical units. One of them will be plugged into the UPS, and then all of the non-amplifier components in the rack will run on that for maximum protection and power outage protection and so on. And then the 4 amplifiers in the rack, and maybe the MDX as well, because technically it's an amplifier. So maybe the 4 NADs and the MDX will plug into the other Wattbox 820, which has 8 outlets, so plenty of outlets, and then that will plug into the wall. So we're not going through the UPS. So that's what I came up with, and I think I'm really kind of digging. I'm really digging this. I think it's going to look sweet. It's going to be very structured, taking maximum advantage, essentially, of having 2 full 37U rack spaces. So I'm pretty excited about this. Let me share a different window now. This one, and we can take a look at. Yeah, we can take a look at some of the equipment. So, and a couple of the other bits and pieces that I probably ordered, I think already, or need to pick up. Most of it's already on its way. All right, let's get a couple of these questions. Make sure I don't miss any comments as we go, as we're changing over here. John Swick, how's the Zotac 5090? It's working awesome. Love it. Great card. Maddie Daddy, Apple TV price increase coming. End up switching to Apple One bundle. Gain 50. Yeah, I think I pay like $40 a month to Apple. I do the whole Apple One thing as well, and then I buy extra iCloud space. We'll see. Hopefully, I don't know if you mean Apple TV service, like Apple TV Plus or service prices changing, or you're thinking the new box might cost more. I would say both are a possibility. Do you notice a big sound quality difference after upgrading HBO Max? Audio, not much. I wouldn't say not much, because I'm kind of watching in the living room, and Peacemaker is an adult show. I'm usually watching it in the evening, and I'm not really blasting it, because who knows what the heck's going to show up content wise in that series. Video though, regular to the higher version of HBO Max is huge. It's 4K and it's HDR instead of like 1080p. So pretty big difference there. Steven, yeah, from what I've seen from his other tests, we haven't seen a platform stream more than 700. That's correct. Like 770 kilobit not megabit, 770 kilobit per second is about the highest that you're going to get off of streaming audio nowadays. But keep in mind that if they'll do the streaming services will do 770 for Atmos, but they'll do like maybe like 200 kilobit for non-Atmos stuff, or sometimes even less, like much lower bit rates. Okay, and then are they going to add a camera? Yeah, so that's the rumor. I don't know. That seems unlikely to me. I saw another thing that was kind of debunking the concept of the Apple TV, the new Apple TV having the camera, and it's a misinterpretation of the leaks and the rumors. It's not that the Apple TV device was slated to get the camera, it's that they might actually finally release an actual display, television, and then that would have the built-in camera. And of course, it would have like Apple TV hardware or something built in. All right, so let's go through some of this stuff here. So we were looking at some of these tabs last week. Of course, the televisions. I still haven't committed to any television choice for the living room. I'm not necessarily worried about that. It's gonna if I go all the way up to the 97-inch G whatever, it's gonna be expensive. So everything else has to get settled first, and I need to figure this out versus perhaps going for something larger but cheaper. We were looking at the salamander stuff, so that's out. I can close these tabs. Actually, not going to be doing that. One of the things that I was contemplating with the setup as well was bridging, running the Utopia 1000 speaker plus the sub module as an integrated single speaker, and then bridging the M23 into a monoblock. You do that. It's a setting on the back. You can bridge them together with one of these switches, turns it into like a 700 watt single amplifier. Focal was recommending to me to do that, to go ahead and just connect the speak-on connector between the speaker and the subwoofer module, treat it as one huge full-range speaker, and then there's a settable crossover that between the two that it would use. But I was actually texting a little bit with Gene at Audioholics because I wanted to ask him. I thought I recalled back to their review of the M23 that it's like a great amp, but the bridging mode at lower impedance loads is it doesn't have enough. It doesn't give enough. Doesn't have enough power, whatever. And so I don't want to put the amp at risk. If merging the speaker and the subwoofer together drops any type of impedance too low, the bridged amp may not be able to handle it effectively. So I don't think I'm going to end up bridging it. I think I will just treat the speaker as the speaker, the subwoofer as a subwoofer. It'll be a 2.2 channel setup, and I'll use all four of the discrete amplifiers of the M23s, of the two M23s, no bridging, and then Arc Genesis will take care of the rest. It'll take care of speaker to sub crossovers and delay and phase and all of that sort of stuff. Okay, so here's the watt box. So this is what I have right now. Whoop, I don't want to log in. Why can't I? Okay, well, we're just going to look at the pictures here, I guess. So this is what I have right now. It's like a square, long, rectangular box. I've got it in the bottom of the rack, right behind the UPS. It's a little cramped, but it fit in there nonetheless. And it's facing up. I got everything kind of plugged into it that needs to plug into it. It's wired to the UPS via Ethernet cable, and then it's wired to the network with Ethernet as well for the oversea connectivity feature. And at the time, I thought I didn't buy this one. I didn't buy the rackable one. I didn't buy the rackable one because this one only has 8 outlets, and I thought I was going to need more than 8, and it wasn't going to work. Well, as it turns out, I'm not plugging everything plus the amplifiers into the same unit. So 8 outlets per unit is plenty, and I will prefer having seeing the face of the unit at the front of the rack, being able to interact with it. It has a plug on the front if I ever have to plug anything in while I'm in the room. I can see the status and all of that stuff. This will be a lot nicer ultimately. So the only reason I went with the other form factor, I was trying to save space in the front of the rack. I thought I needed 12 outlets, and neither one of those ended up actually mattering. So again, I'm going to take the other one out. I'm going to take the 2 outlet ones out, and I bought 2 of these. So I already have them. They actually got delivered today, sitting in the boxes, along with all of the venting plates and stuff that I needed, the other rack accessories that I needed. So this will be pretty sweet. So again, one of these will plug into the UPS, and then all of the computer gear, network gear, audio processors, etc., will all be on that power chain. And then one of these will plug into the wall, and they're both 20 amp units, so they have full power with the right NEMA connector with the T plug and stuff. Um, and then into the other one that's plugged into the wall, I'll plug in all the NAD amps and possibly the MDX 16 as well. So this is the 2 outlet one that I mentioned. It's basically 2 outlets with some network connectivity as well, and then a plug that goes to the wall. So if anybody is looking for this stuff, actually there's now this week, eminently literally within the next couple days. If anybody's looking to buy Wattbox stuff, please get in touch with me. There's Now is a really good time for this, and I'll be selling this, very lightly, gently used, and then I have 2 of these available. One very lightly, gently used, and then one brand new in the box. So when I'm ready, I'll put those up, an announcement for those on the channel. And then again, 2 of those are already here. I would say, what else do we have here? So I don't need this anymore. This was going to be a switch for the room. I did before I kind of made all of these conclusions that I came to. I did go through a whole bunch more research. I was thinking about rebuilding the computer. What kind of like more rack based cases and stuff were out there. Silverstone is, man, these are some really nice cases. Like if you want a nice rack based server style chassis for your PC, this is a sweet one. RM4A. It supports a 360 radiator on the front. It'll fit like super huge graphics cards, all that stuff. They have an RM5 something as well. So the 4A is 4 units tall. The 5 is 5 units tall. Pretty sweet. And then they also have this one. If you have to look at it, and it's not just a rack base, but you want it to look more like a piece of electronics gear, this is a brand new case as well. I don't think you can actually even buy this one yet. The Crown 4. This thing will fit a 360 radiator blowing out the top. It'll fit full size gaming GPUs and all that. Real nice. So, but as it turns out, I won't really need these. Although if I decide I end up wanting to, I may my plan here, move the Apple TV down to the rack, or have the Kaleidoscape live down in the rack. I will leave the Nintendo Switch for now. I still don't know what I'm going to do with that thing, whether I'm actually going to keep it, whether I'm going to upgrade it to a Switch 2, or I might just say I don't need it anymore. And the gaming PC is the only gaming platform, plus the Apple TV, that we need. Oh shoot, the thing that I just thought of that I didn't account for is gaming on the Apple TV and the controller reception. Oh, I gotta think about that. I might have just messed that up. But I don't know if we need the Nintendo Switch or not. But I may move the PC downstairs as well. And if I do that, I'll put it up on top of the rack where I had it before, but on the left side. The NAS will be on the right side, the rack will be on the left side. So here's the Apple TV shelf that I mentioned. So as we said, 2 cutouts in the front. It's a 1U. This is a metal one. A lot of these that I found were plastic. This is a nice metal shelf. You can see this this unscrews, and this tension bar moves up and down. So you get your Apple TV set. You push the faces up to the holes. You just bring the tension bar nice and gently down and tighten it up. It'll hold them in place. And that's good to go. So I have this again. This is on its way and coming. Oh man, I can't believe I overlooked that. If we put the Apple TV downstairs, the controllers. If we put the Apple TV downstairs inside the rack, the controller reception to actually game on the Apple TV may not work very well. I'm gonna have to weigh that one out. Yeah. Well, I thought I had it all figured out, and I think I might have. I just uncovered at least one weakness in my plan. We'll see what happens with that. I am going to replace or kind of update, since everything's going to be open, and I'm going to be pulling all these cables these cable runs between the rack and behind the TV. It's not a very far run. To get from the rack to the television, I only need a 10-meter like HDMI cable, so like 30 or 33 feet. And then the speaker wire runs to get to the speaker Utopia speakers and the subs on the left side. Those lines will only be about 30 feet as well. To get to the other side of uh, the 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 right channels, the right speaker and the right sub, and maybe those will need to be 40, 45 feet. So I already have the speaker cable for that. I'm going to use the 12 gauge monoprice 100% oxygen free copper cables that I used for the Utopias in the theater here. I bought like a 300-foot spool when I bought it for the to pull the lines for the theater. So I got plenty of that cable to make those runs. And then I figured, well, I'm going to go ahead, since everything's open, I'm going to be replacing all these lines. I'm going to be taking a bunch of existing cabling out. I might as well look and see, should I do new HDMI lines. And so I've long used RUI Pro fiber optic cables. Right now I have crystal cables, HDMI 2.1 cables going between the rack and the television. And I have their like blue green cables going from the rack to the projector in here. Um, and I saw that they've since released these, which is these adjustable or like detachable ends, general like fiber optic cables. So this is kind of cool, right? You buy the with this comes as a kit, but basically you get the generic fiber optic cable and then you get the tips. So there's a source tip and a display tip. And so my plan is to pull several of these fiber optic lines between both rooms, between the rack and the living room, because the Apple TV will use its own discrete fiber cable, HDMI out of the Apple TV into the television. The Kaleidoscape Strata will have its own discrete long fiber optic cable out of the Kaleidoscape into the television. If the PC comes back downstairs, again, it'll have its own long HDMI cable, and then if the switch stays up there, that's fine. But I want to have enough of these to be able to cover anything that I might want to do back and forth. And with the tips are directional, the fiber optic cable is not. So if I have to go back the other way, if I want to go back the other way, I want to put, for whatever reason, I want to put a something source upstairs and bring it down to the display down here. I can just use the tips appropriately. Um, I have been told that these do have like a USB power connector. At first, I thought that they needed the power connector only if you were going to use like CEC and certain features, but apparently they do recommend using the power connector like all the time. And unfortunately, it's on the display side. Um, so the televisions, the current LG that I have up there, if I go with the 97-inch LG, they usually have one USB port, but I figure this should work. Hopefully, I'll just go ahead and I'll pick up like a 4-port hub, plug that into the USB port on the television, and then if I have or 3 or 4 cables coming from the rack to behind the television, plugging into discrete inputs in the TV, then these USB connections can plug into this. I'll like Velcro this thing, stick it right on the back of the TV, right by the HDMI ports, and then plug them all in. Then those cables will be powered. The having power on the cables is probably for the better in terms of like reliability versus just relying on like HDMI port power and stuff. But I thought this was pretty cool. And they actually have, I noticed as well, they have HDMI 2.1 tips. They have DisplayPort tips also. Um, as well, if you wanted to use these cables to take a PC DisplayPort signal from far away somewhere, and they essentially claim that like if whatever HDMI 2.2 comes out or whatever it may be, they'll just release new tips. And so thank God I won't have to re-pull cables with thick tips on them. I'll just have these fiber lines and several of them. So even if one of them goes bad or whatever, I'll have some backup. Hopefully it'll be a long time before I ever have to worry about pulling more uh, fiber optic lines again between the rack and the living room. So while it's all open, then if I think about the cables going back and forth, I was planning to do 5 of these. I'll do 5 of these fiber optic lines. I'll have my optical audio cable, which is how I get the audio out of the television back down to the STR. Um, and then I'll have 4 speaker cable lines, one for each, one for each speaker, one for each subwoofer, and then those will wire into the M23s. And I'll take out all of the other existing cables that are there. And then lastly, my thought was, again, to just leave the switch upstairs, basically for controller reception reasons, and accessibility. If somebody wants to grab it and actually play it with the handheld, it's in the room and they'd be able to get to it. Um, the PC, I could either leave the PC built in its vertical case, just standing next to the bump out, and then run the cable through the wall instead of in front of the wall to get connection there. There's pros and cons to that. I will maintain the setup to be able to do that. I will also consider bringing that computer back downstairs to the rack and um, and going with something like this. So USB 3.2 over Ethernet, HD base T Cat 6 extender. I have four Ethernet lines from the back of the rack to behind the television. I think there's two Cat 5Es and two Cat 6s, if I remember correctly. And so this would be perfect. There's four USB ports. So I'll come out USB out of the computer into here. And then I think you only have to power one side. So I'll power it down here at the rack so there's less wiring and less things to plug in behind the television. Ethernet line out, up behind the television. I'll jumper into that Ethernet patch behind the television to plug in to this side, and then there I've got my four. So I'll mount this thing like on the wall, kind of near the bottom ish of the television, on the wall near the bottom of the TV, and then I can plug in the Microsoft wireless controller adapter. And I figure I might as well also go ahead and just get a USB Bluetooth adapter. So I'll plug in the USB Bluetooth adapter in the room. So this antenna will be in the room. I'll disable the Bluetooth adapter on the motherboard of the PC, and we'll use a third-party one instead, because then all of the wireless reception is in the room. It's not in the basement. And then that'll occupy two of these four ports, and I still have two other ports. So if I want to wire in two fight sticks, two wired USB fight sticks, I can just plug them in there, and which is one of the big reasons I kind of wanted to have the PC in the room, in the living room, is that I had physical accessibility to plug in USB stuff if I needed to. I also have a little dongle, a little USB wireless dongle for the keyboard mouse pad Logitech unit, the K400 that I use as my keyboard and mouse to manage that PC. I could plug that in the room as well. But again, if I do one for the Xbox controllers, one for the PlayStation controllers via Bluetooth, and I leave two open for fight sticks, there's no room to plug the keyboard wireless receiver in. I'll just plug that into the PC in the basement. That always worked reliably. So from the living room down to the rack, the wireless signal of the keyboard and mouse pad works just fine. And we don't even use that most of the time anyway. And so, yeah, so then I should be all set with this. And I can go back also to triggering the PC boot up and stuff off of Control 4, where I was using the Control 4 wireless power switch. The PC was plugged into the wireless power switch. And when I want to play the PC, I click to that source device in Control 4. The switch is powered, and then the motherboard turns on. Or I could go also to figuring out how to connect like a Wake on LAN type of setup. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with everything right now. So again, the watt box, the 820s are already here. The rack vents are already here. The Kaleidoscape, the second Strato E, and the rack mount for that shipped today. I'll probably have them by maybe Thursday, hopefully of this week. That Apple TV rack shelf is coming. I haven't gotten a shipping notice of that yet. Hopefully that doesn't take too long. But I'm going to go ahead anyway, and as soon as the other Kaleidoscape arrives, so probably this coming weekend. The nice thing about this, or actually, I think too, the RUI Pro fiber optic cables should be on their way. Um, I didn't buy the other stuff. Like I didn't buy this USB extender piece yet. Um, I'll wait on that stuff, but all of the core stuff that I need to basically do the re-rack is either here or will be here this week. So um, I think this weekend we'll be able to do the major rack reconfiguration. And I'll actually, even in the interim, actually, I'll probably take the rack amps off of the triad subwoofers perhaps and just use the second M23 for those. And then after that, I'm ready to go. I just got to get in touch with the contractor, and then we'll schedule the physical construction tear down, and we'll get there. So I'm hoping that maybe by Halloween, actually, it would be awesome to have it done by Halloween, because then we usually have a Halloween party and family and friends and stuff come over. So I definitely don't want the living room tore up. So if we can get that all done and functional back by Halloween, maybe the PC's back downstairs by Halloween. Maybe we don't have a 97-inch television hanging in there. We just put the 83-inch back up. Um, and then I want to do I want to do a fall get together showcase event after that. So yeah, that's it. That's the plan. All right, let's hit these comments. We're at just past 6 o'clock, and we'll call it a day here. Sammy, welcome, bud. How's it going? Upgraded, yeah, upgraded 97 G5. That's my leading candidate for sure. It's a matter of whether I can make it happen or not. Literally just got the 83 G5 delivered today. Awesome, 2 hours ago. Maddie asking, have you determined the size of the mounted area for the TV? QM9K is available now at Best Buy. It was zero border. I saw that, but I didn't actually look it up. The QM9K. Let's take a look at this really quick. QM9K. I was aware. Let me reshare this. I was aware of the QM8K. Oh yeah, here it is. So this is an even higher series. I'll have to do a little bit of research on this. Oh, that looks really nice. Yeah, borderless, huh? $6,000 is a lot easier to take than mini LED. So what are we looking at here? 85.28 wide. Let me check my. Yeah, so my current, so that wouldn't fit. It still wouldn't fit in the current cubby opening, but it'll fit the rebuild. So in the rebuild, will be about 87 inches wide. So it'll fit 50. Oh wait, 48.66 without the feet. That's great. What's the depth? 2.13. So it's an inch deeper than the. Wow, it's real thin. This is a serious option. This is actually a real serious option for. It's weird that they say this is kind of an interesting picture. The way they drew this, it's like 2.3 inches from here to here, but isn't this should be 2.3 inches? Or is all the electronics down in this part where the stand connects as well? Interesting. Yeah, I had literally just seen this, seen some reference to this coming available. Yeah, this is a contender for sure. I'll have to re-up my research on this model. It would be a lot easier for me to consider this certainly over the G, but it's got to game well. It's got to look great. It's got to really stand up to the G series. Yeah, but it'll fit. So my goal is my plan was to leave the vertical dimensions about what they are. Right now I have 51.5 inches of height, and none of these TVs are over 50 inches tall. Even like the Sony Bravia 5, the LGs are like 48.5 inches tall. This guy was like whatever, 48.5 inches is tall. So I'm going to leave the height about the same, just call it nominally about 52-inch height. And I'm going to go from 85 inches wide to 87 inches wide. And that will allow any of these TVs to fit. And 2.2 inches is is an okay depth. I think we'll probably add a little bit of depth to the I think we'll add a little bit of depth to the bump out as well, so that the TV will be inside the inset even at that depth. But so cool. I got something new to research tonight. I'll be looking over this TV quite a bit. We'll see though. But I don't know, man. Yeah, it might be hard. It might be hard to go from G series OLED to any TCL, even a flagship one. Um, Steven saying, why not get the new Hypex modules that do 700 watts per channel, like the Buckeye? Yeah, that's a possibility as well. But I already have these, so I already had the one M23, and I really like them. I really like the use in the theater, and so I had already picked up months ago the second M23. So they have the Purify modules. They don't deliver as much power as those newer like Hypex modules do, but they're clean. They're real good modules and a really great implementation. So I'm happy with them. And I wouldn't want to change them. If I change anything, I'm going to be driven to kind of want to change it all. And at least for now, my original goal anyway was I like the consistency of the Anthem, Focal, NAD, like trifecta in both the living room and the theater, but that may change also. So never say never. Everything is always subject to change. Julius, how do you connect your subs to your AVM 90? It's all XLR. Yeah, XLR to XLR. Um, the SVS all have XLR inputs on them, and the 90 has XLR connections as well. No need to change them over. AV Tech Man, I think IMAX Enhance is the only way to really deliver full lossless. I don't know about that. Like we have full lossless dynamic audio, just with Dolby and DTS codecs outside, unless streaming. Maybe they'll do something. IMAX Enhance will push something with streaming, but I'm not. I wouldn't think so. Maddie, we've been making videos of unboxing products, setting up the rack. Yeah, I'll consider how to do this again. Like, in some ways, the last time I did kind of a rack rebuild, I was contemplating doing like a live stream of it, but that ends up getting hard. Like, I have limited time, and my son will help me as well. And we do this on like a Saturday or Sunday. It's going to take all day. I could literally just leave the stream open and kind of interact as we go, but it'll slow things down. So I don't know what the content result will be. Um, but certainly I will showcase everything and vlog it and stuff along the way. So a lot of content coming about this, the rack build and the living room build and everything else as it happens. Pavel's saying just bought a couple fiber cables from Celerity. Schedule connection is great. Yeah, it's a good way to go. I find it's just get the G2. Yeah, no way you're going from a G2 to a TCL. I'll have to look at it and see. The biggest challenge with LG is the price. It's so expensive. It's such an expensive television. I mean, we're literally here. We're looking at 6,000 list. These are list prices, of course, and I have access to things and maybe opportunities to work some stuff out. We'll see how things go, you know, or dealer pricing. I can actually access TCL as a brand. If anybody's looking for these TVs, let me know. I can access TCL as a brand in my distribution, in LG also, but even still, it's almost a $20,000 price difference in those TVs. Sammy, you could wait until late October. Wow, the Samsung Micro RGB will be in dealer channels around then. Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting that like more new sets were coming. I don't know. I didn't pay a lot of attention to CES way back in January. So this, if they announced like the fact that the 9K was coming, or this came after the fact, I wasn't aware. But again, I'll get up to speed here real quick. Steven, yeah, the NAD stuff is great. Purify is amazing. Yep. Yeah. Already. Yep. Yeah, they're already here. One is I've already been using it for a long time. It's powering the IWLCR6s that are up there, and the other one's been in the box for the better part of this year. They're the V1s though as well, not the V2s. Unfortunately, it'd be nice. I don't know if the V2s actually would work any better in the bridge mode than the M23 V1s do. Maybe I should look at that. But then I'd have to sell and buy, and it would cost more in between. So, and yeah, I'm not sure why it says 2.1 based on the images. The back is flat, so maybe they factor in built-in handles or something. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Here, let's see if we can do. We can get to like TCL's webpage. Maybe they have a different depth spec. Is this X11K? Come on, I'm not loading. Everybody ordering their new TVs. Come on. There we go. QM9K 98. Where's our specs? Oh, here, let's take a look through. Ultimate performance, QM9K, low reflection, zero border, pure sophistication, unparalleled contrast and depth, 6,000 local dimming zones, luminous, crisp, perfect, HDR, 6500 brightness, Google TV, elevated audio, AI PQ Pro processor, et cetera, et cetera. All right, come on. Google Gemini, ambient mode, sensor, dimming zones. One of the other things I wonder, they only have like two HDMI 2.1 inputs, which I guess I can get away with, but 144 hertz VRR, that's pretty cool. I think the G will go to 165. Game Accelerator 288 VRR provides fluid motion and reduced input lag. That's great. Game Accelerator. Artwork. Brilliance. All right, come on. Where's the Dolby Atmos audio? Good. Ultra slim design. Style meets screen. Zero border. Chromecast built in. AirPlay 2. Don't need any of that. All right. I guess we have to go. All right, here we go. So let's look at two things. Does it have 4 HDMI 2.1 ports, panel refresh rate 144, VRR up to 144? That'll be cool. I've been gaming only up to 120 FPS now. We can go up to 144 after this upgrade. ALM, game bar, FreeSync, certified. I do like the fact that the LGs have G-Sync, native G-Sync. So that would be a bit of a trade-off. Controls, connected TV. Here we go. 4. Okay, HDMI 2.1. 4. Yes, I think the QM8K only has 2 HDMI 2.1 ports. So it's nighttime that crap stopped. Like every one of these TVs, especially in 2026 with HDMI 2.1, better be 2.1 on all ports. Yeah, it still says here, product size without stand 2.13. It certainly doesn't look like it though. So, this is actually one of the other things that I was wondering about. LG always puts their ports on this side of the TV. I wonder if the ports are over here. If so, I need to plan for that in my setup also. Yeah, that looks like they're on the left side of the TV. Are they? So what do we got? USB, Ethernet, 1, 2, 3, 4. HDMI. That's the eARC port. 1, 2, 3, 4. I also require optical audio port, so it has one. Looks like that's optical audio. Actually, let's double check that back in the specs. Yeah, SPIF, digital audio optical. Perfect. Yeah, all right, I'll be looking at this over some more. Yeah, the 9-inch G2, it is still available. Um, nice, love mine. Still haven't still haven't peeled the plastic. Last I checked, oh, come on, let me get back to where I was. Last I checked, they still had them. I thought, at least Best Buy did. I don't know about other distribution or if they're still in the channel. Yeah, 89, 99.99. So you give up the G4 and the G5 upgrades, but can't argue with the price. 97 G5 doesn't use the tandem panel like the 83. At 97, I'd probably buy a previous gen. Yeah, and go bigger for the next gen, perhaps. Yeah, the biggest sizes always lack the greatest feature. I wonder what micro LED prices will be in a few years. 299 format would be awesome for some games. Yeah. So I'm not that I can't do. I will not be doing 21.9 format in my living room because I'm not going any wider on the build out. And it only has two HDMI 2.1s. Oh, but the eARC is on a 2.0 port. So the eARC doesn't use the 2.1 port, but then it won't do lossless. Or wait, four HDMI ports. Two are 2.1, two are 2.0. Interesting. Oh, their spec sheet leaves a little to be desired, capturing that information. I thought that was the case for the 8K though. And that is a bummer. I guess the only one that I really need to be 2.1 is one of them for the PC. Um, even the Switch 2, it's going to be the Switch 5 before you need a 2.1 port on a Nintendo piece of hardware because they're so lame with their their hardware capabilities and performance. Um, Kaleidoscape doesn't do anything really with HDMI 2.1. The Apple TV does. So I guess if I did that and was limited, I'd make sure to put the Apple TV and the and who knows what the new Apple TV may have or do, but the Apple TV and the um the Apple TV and the PC on the 2.1s and the other ones on the other ports. Any thoughts on ditching STR in favor of Zone 2? I wouldn't call that a simplification. You still I did that in the past. The only thing that Zone 2 really gets me there is you still have to have an audio processor because like something still has to decode that audio. So at one point in my system, way back when I had the Marantz stuff, I had Marantz Zone 2 going into a Denon like 1600H, and then that ran the living room. But all that saved me was like replicating Kaleidoscape, and now I just have discrete Kaleidoscape players. So there's no it's a complication, to be honest. It's not a simplification, especially nowadays. Yeah, that's why I did it before. I shared sources. The only and I don't need to do that anymore. Like especially now that like the players and stuff are cheaper. I already have it. I'm just going to do discrete players with discrete settings. There's no reason to bother sharing an Apple TV when it's a $130 device, and I don't need to game in this room, so I'm not worried about sharing or distributing the gaming signal either. I'm only going to game in the living room. Um, so it's actually it's much simpler to keep the systems discrete for me now. Um, yeah, all 25 TCL TVs use a Pentonic 700 chipset. Supposedly, okay, the 2600 will have Pentonic 800 for up to four 2.1 ports. So the other part of it too is like the 87-inch G2 or the 83-inch G2 is still really nice. So if I don't feel like 100% confident in making the TV swap now, especially as we get later and later into the year, I could always just do that later. I could wait and see what CES holds and do a 2026 model. So we'll see. We'll see there. I'll probably get impatient for that, but I already have the TV and it can very easily go back up on the same mount, and we can do the TV thing later. Hi, Finest. Any thoughts on ditching the STR? Oh, I did that one. Sorry. I meant to do This one. Yeah, M66 or M33. I've thought about that. I've heard some mixed things about the M66 actually. Um, and I still continue to see a lot of mixed feelings about Dirac relative to like Arc Genesis. And I really feel like Arc Genesis is the um, best between those in particular, especially like the best room correction option of the big major ones. So it works so well in my living room right now. I'd be scared to chance something else, like the Phantom Center and the integration and all that stuff. Like it's dialed in so well. Um, yeah, but we'll never say never. But that's the plan for now. All right, I really got to go. Ran over long here, but it's fun conversation, fun topic. So I got some stuff to do. I gotta reconsider. Now I'm scared actually. The concept of I had it all unified. Bring the Apple TV downstairs, and I completely forgot about controllers, video game controllers for the Apple TV. But my son, every once in a while, still he's really about the only one. He'll play some Apple TV games, um, and yeah, I'll have to look at this QM9K. I'm guessing that like FOMO, Brian, like all the TV guys are probably all over this TCL now. So I'll go check out the TV YouTube guy content, see what they have to say about it. Yeah, Maddie, could be interesting. Get an 83-inch G5 for now, then upgrade depending on models. Yeah, I think it'll depend on um I think it'll really depend on what I feel. I wouldn't buy a stopgap though. I don't think I'd buy a G5 unless I'm going to the 97. Like I'll just use the 80 I'll just use the 83 G2 that I have until I get the bigger size. Size rules. Um and I don't think I would bother with the stopgap, but Chintapit saying, "Hey, there's a new Apple TV update today. I haven't checked yet. I'll have to take a look and see." I'm guessing that's probably just the maybe like one little bug fix push or something for the main OS 26 release. Maddie, good luck with the planning. Thanks for sharing. Julius, thanks. Thanks everybody for coming out. Again, fun conversation. I love the feedback and just the streams of consciousness of kind of going through this stuff is always really useful and fun. Again, I poked one big hole into my plan with the controller access that I wasn't fully thinking about. So I'll have to bring that part in, but stay tuned. Maybe I'll drop some community posts when I get an idea kind of what the content plan may be, but I will film content about all the stuff coming up. Um, and some of the new things that are coming in, looking really forward to it. This is going to be once again, like maybe rack version 4 and probably the best and very stable, hopefully very stable, um, that the setup will be for a while. It'll be fun to try and test some of this other stuff out as well, like the USB extension device, perhaps for the video game controller on the PC and things like that. So yeah, lots to come. Thanks everybody. If I can help anybody out with anything, please get in touch. um, Visit the webpage like techthusiasm.com or email me, Jeremy at techthusiasm.net. Helping a bunch of people out with stuff right now is just supporting a JVC 700 install over the weekend. We got Kaleidoscapes coming and going, some other Wattbox things coming and going. So if you're thinking about upgrades, you want to talk something through, you're just ready to go ahead and pick something up, let me know. Even if it's not in my brand listing, do feel free though. Still get in touch. There are there are things things happening, conversations being had for uh, other things that I like, other brands that are very popular out there that I want to do more with. I want to specialize in. I want to get trained up in and be able to sell and support and all of that. So if I can help you out, I'd love to get in touch and let's work it up. And yeah, thanks everybody for coming out. Coming back for more home theater discussion and fun. Thanks.